Hello, everyone. This is an incredibly impromptu stream, but hopefully we're shortly going to be joined by Mick Conlan, who is going to help us to preview Cacace versus Wood, because it's coming up this weekend, and I've not had time to research it the way I would like to. So I thought we need someone who knows these two better than most. And I don't know how many people we're going to get in here for this, but I thought, you know what? Let's just go for it. So hopefully we'll have Conlan with us shortly. And it should be a good laugh. I hope. I've not spoken to Mick for a long time. And he's someone that I always meant to get on the channel back in the day. But, you know, this should be... I mean, I didn't ever think it would be remote. I wanted to do a documentary with Mick at the time. So yeah. We'll see how we go. I've just realized something. Does this stream have the right thumbnail? Probably not. Details. Does it have a thumbnail? No, it doesn't. Let me change that. Let me change that really quickly. There we go. Right. Mick is in. View. Hello. Do we have Mr. Mick Conlan on the line? How are you, mate? Oh, yeah, you've got... Hang on. Just before we keep going, I think that I need to just adjust something so people can hear you. 1 second, mate. All right, I think people should be able to hear you now. People, can you tell me? Can you hear Mick? Can you say something, please, mate?
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear you, but
you can hear me. Can they hear you? I think they can. They should be able to now. So you're... Yeah, I've heard you started a new beer.
Yeah, I have my own beer. Yeah, Le Gras Lager. Le Gras in Irish means with love, and it's made with shamrocks and stuff. It's lovely. It's a really nice lager, and yeah, it's during your career to have ways out of it. So yeah.
Oh, this is breaking up a bit. Can you... I wonder if your signal's going a bit. I think Mick's signal's dropping in and out, guys. See if it comes back. Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got you back now, mate. I think your signal dropped out.
Hello?
Yeah, I heard... Hey, can you hear me, all right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear... Yeah, I was reading just before we spoke about your beer, and I understand you've got a patent that you're the only beer in the world that can actually use shamrocks in the beer.
Yep. Only beer in the world that can do it. The patent is kind of covered that for us. So
That's pretty cool.
It's big. I mean, it's massive. Yeah, it's our target kind of to get it to America. And once you get it to America, those Irish Americans who love everything about Ireland, with a shamrock and beer, you know, they'll be delighted.
Yeah, well, you know all about that, Mick, with, you know, obviously your debut coming in the States. And obviously, I know you tried to sort of set up there initially, right? So you know all about those US-based Irish.
Yeah, mate, they're more patriotic than normal Irish people at home. It's unbelievable. You know, the Irish people who immigrated there have obviously held their roots very strong and bred them into their children. So, you know, those kids who are grandkids and great grandkids of Irish descent, they believe they're more Irish than most people.
Yeah, and also in a world where everyone's sort of looking for an identity, you know, whether it's being a vegan or being a gym bro or whatever it is, I think being Irish is quite a strong one, right?
100%. 100%. We're everywhere in the world, so if you're Irish, you're gonna have a friend somewhere.
That's very true. Mick, I wanna ask you about a few things on this call.
Yeah.
I obviously want to ask you about this Cacace Wood fight that's this weekend. So we'll start there, and then I do want to ask you about your career as well and sort of the evolution you're going under at the minute, where you're at. I know you're working with Grant Smith now, and I'm really keen to ask you about that. But But yeah, like first, if we could start with Anthony Cacace, what is your relationship with Anthony? Because I read that he's from Andytown, and I remember that Tyron McKenna's from Andytown, so I guess you've known him for a really long time, right?
Yeah, I've known Ando since I was a kid. We went away on a few trips together as well in the amateurs. He was always older than me and bigger than me, but Ando's a great guy. Always had a great talent in him, and he was tipped for big things throughout his career, but he kind of went stale with inactivity and not getting the opportunities maybe he deserved. But now, once he got his opportunity, he grabbed it with both hands, became world champion, and is riding the crest of a wave at the minute. He's just beat Joe Cardina and was a big underdog in that fight, and then went and beat Josh Wong, and he'll go and be victorious again.
Yeah, you dropped a bit there, but I know what you were saying. He's had some big wins recently, basically. Yeah, no, he's a really interesting fighter. He's obviously very aggressive, and he's really long and really powerful. And like what I found interesting when I've watched him is he's a little bit unorthodox as well. Like you're sort of watching him, and you're like, he's battering the guy in front of him, and it sounds like a weird thing to say, but I sort of watch him, and I'm not quite sure what he's doing, but it seems like the opponent can't quite keep him away. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. He doesn't. I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like, with some guys you watch them, they're like, oh, he's double jabbing to move in, and with Anto, it's like he has his hands quite low, they're quite loose, and yeah, he's an interesting fighter to watch. He really is.
Yeah, he really is, and he's always been, from the amateurs and all people have always said Ando punches really, really hard, and he has them long levers, and once he catches you at the end of the shots, he can take you out. So, you see how he boxes. He doesn't really have a rhythm. It's his own kind of style, which not many people have. So, I believe Saturday night he goes in there and wins well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you've sort of called each other out over the years as well, haven't you, a little bit here and there? And like, I guess you know each other a long time, but that could be a potentially ginormous fight for Ireland, right?
Definitely. Listen, it was something Ando called me out a few years ago when he was kind of in no man's land, didn't have an opportunity, he wasn't getting opportunities, and suggested he would come down to Featherweight and fight me in Belfast, but I had a fight already scheduled and stuff. It was when the Keaton pulled out of our first fight, which was meant to be in Belfast, and then we ended up fighting in that December. But Ando says he would step in, but I had a fight planned, and it wasn't meant to be. But now he's been on, done what he's done. Now I probably the guy who wants that fight more. Ando probably doesn't need that fight. But yeah, listen. I've sparred him once. Like, I know anybody who's sparred him, like Carl Frampton and stuff, they speak about how hard he punches and how good he is and stuff. I've sparred him once, and it was actually in preparation for Leight Wood. So
interesting. Oh, right.
Yeah. So we sparred 3 times that week, and then Ando went home, and then I ended up catching COVID, so he couldn't come back over. And then the fight happened, and we all know what happened by now.
It's so. Oh, we'll just wait for Micks connection to. Sorry, mate. What was that? If Leight Wood something.
Lee's.
For anyone who's listening, Micks currently. Oh, there you go. Oh, wait, I lost you again there, mate. Sorry. Yeah, I think you went for a ropey patch, but you're back now.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, as if Lee hasn't overly used the videos enough, everybody should know, because he consistently puts it up and lives through it. So fair play to him.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, I want to ask you about Leight Wood, because obviously, you've been in the ring with him. You had that absolute war with him, which was tantalizingly close to being a win for you. I mean, you were up on the cards at the time of the stoppage, and obviously, you've talked about it a lot. But I guess based on your in-ring experience with him, I think I already know you believe Cacace is the more powerful man. But just based on the fact that you've been in there with him, I found it really interesting watching you in there with him, because I feel like the reason you had so much success is because you were hitting him some quite unorthodox shots. Like when you were in the southpaw stance, that sort of looping left backhand you were throwing was a really, really nice shot for you in the fight. You had a lot of success with it. And I wondered what you thought about Cacace's style and how it matches up with Lee. I know we'll get to the sort of physical preparation and psychological where they both are in terms of, they've with leaving out the ring for a while. But from a technical standpoint, how do you sort of view it based on the success that you had in the ring?
Yeah, listen, I think from a technical standpoint, Cacace is the better boxer. The unorthodox style, them big long arms, the long levers. He is the better boxer of the two of them. And then at the same time, he reads the fight better and knows how to kind of evade shots much better than what Lee would. Lee, as we've seen over his last 4 fights, he does block a lot with his head and his face. He takes a lot of shots, and
yeah,
it's not good for his health. So he's been through an awful lot of wars over the last while, and there's a lot of miles on that clock, and that's another thing. Listen, he punches hard. Is he the hardest puncher I've been in with? No, I'm not gonna sit here and say he is. Or all right, he switched my Leight Wood at the end, but if you look at that fight, it was more fatigue than actual power. He probably hit me bigger shots throughout that fight. And it's funny me sitting here saying he doesn't punch as hard as what is being said. It's like it's the truth. So like I was more fatigued. Yeah, I was caught bigger shots throughout the fight, and they didn't do nothing. It was that one at the end where I was just fucked. And
I think I think it just looked dramatic, didn't it? The way you sort of fell through the ropes.
Yeah,
but like you say, if that had been in the middle of the ring, maybe it was a different story.
Exactly. So I think like they both punch hard, and I think the fact that Cacace hasn't been through the mill as much as Lee has, he'll be the guy who'll take a better shot, and I believe he goes in there on Saturday night and looks unbelievable.
And this is the thing, right? So, we can talk, I like to talk about like the technical, tactical stuff, but we can talk about that for days. But the other thing you've got to really consider is just where two men are at physically going into a fight. And even though Cacace is 36 now, you have to say that he must be the fresher of the two. He must be. And Lee's been out with these injuries and, God knows what he's been dealing with to been out that long because he was on such a good run of form in 2023. To have taken that long out, it does make you sort of stop and go, what on earth's happened there?
The thing is, though, he's always been very inactive. Let's be honest. After he fought me, he didn't fight for basically 1 year till he fought Laura. He fought Laura in early March the following year. He fought me on March 12th the year before. So I don't know what it is. If someone's fucking on a bike and cycling, I don't know. But like, there's something going on which is unknown. For him to be out so long. All right, I get it, being out so long after our fight because he probably took an awful lot of damage in that fight and probably was concussed a few times in that fight. So taking the time out after Warrington, I know it was probably down to more contractual stuff rather than and he did take Warrington out and look good doing it. But he was behind on all cards again. So I don't think he's went to the mill so much. He's went to the bottom of his gas tank so much. Can he do it again? I can't see it. But listen, the guy's upset the odds many times. So who knows if he's going to do it again? I believe Anto's going to win, and I do hope he wins.
Yeah.
And either of them, I would love to face in the future, definitely. But obviously, I've got my own shit to handle first.
Of course. Yeah, I think the thing that kind of the only thing that really puts doubt in my mind, like if Cacace had gone in there and stopped Warrington, then I would have been very confident he comes into this one and takes Leigh Wood out. But the fact he didn't, when Warrington, everyone also sort of has the mindset that he's coming to the end now as well. He's been through a lot of wars. It does make you sort of think, well, maybe it's not going to be as straightforward as that,
Yeah, that's the thing, and I think that the difference in that fight is that Josh was never in with a chance of winning when he was fighting Anto. He wasn't. Yeah. He didn't look like he was going to win. Where against Wood, he looked like he was going to win, so he was taking more risks and taking more chances, the land shots to get things off. Whereas with Anto, he probably didn't take as much risks as what he could have, and obviously got the job done.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that you're going for an Anto Cacace win. It doesn't sound like you're too on the fence with this one, Mick.
No, Anto Cacace, and if he does win, I'll be sharing the videos like crazy.
Oh, that's too good. Excellent. Have you got a round for it? Do you think he'll stop him? What do you reckon?
I do, mate. I do. I think he'll stop him. But you don't know. Listen, one thing about Lee, you gotta give him credit for, as much as, you know, the guy has pissed me off over the last way when he puts the videos up. You gotta give him credit for his resilience and his toughness, because, all right, he may not have the best of chins, but he gets up and he keeps going, and he has great power to recovery. So I gotta give him credit for it. I'm not gonna sit here and shit on him. He's a tough guy. Skill set ways, like, I don't know, like the Ben Davis and stuff, and how they're doing all this, like watching fights and you know, trying to analyze them, do all the video analysts on them. I don't think it helped him at all when I fought him. I think what got him through it was his own heart and his own grit and toughness. Because any of the little setups and feints which they were probably practicing and trying, and where I'm stepping here and he's doing this, nothing kind of worked, I don't think, in that sense. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I was gonna. I didn't. It sort of broke up before when you were talking about what videos are you talking about that he's been posting?
I seen he put up the other day again, like, you know, great night in Nottingham, night to remember, or something. That was him
Oh,
obviously
when he stopped you? I forgot.
him stopping me, and they're like, Jesus Christ, this guy's probably shared this video 100 times. It's probably the most shared video. Me and Josh are probably the most shared videos on the thing. And listen,
Well,
you gotta give it to him. That's his moment, so he can do that. That's his. You know, I have no problem with it. It doesn't bother me. Just look at it and go, again, mate. Come on, the fuck. What are you playing at here? Come on.
When you haven't fought anyone for 2 years, Mick, you know you haven't got any new material. That's the problem.
That's true. And like the inactivity, I think, is going to kill him big in this one. All right, a year is a long time, but 2 years, come on, man. I mean, I was out of the ring 16 months before I fought there in March, and I felt like shit. You know, not knowing the ring, I just felt slow. I didn't feel like shit. I was able to go in and get my shit done, but I felt rusty, very rusty.
Let's talk about you, because I do want to ask you about you know, the changes you've made. What's left? What your just sort of goals are for the next sort of couple of years or year or whatever it's going to be. So you've joined Grant Smith at the Steel City Gym. I've been in there a few times filming over the years. It's a great setup. I think it's probably one of the more underrated ones in the country. So tell me about joining Grant, and you know, what was the idea with that? And I've got a lot of questions, but yeah, just go for now, and I'll ask you as you go.
Could you give me 5 minutes? Because I have to change car here.
Yeah, no worries, mate. You can ring back. I'll just keep streaming. You just click on this link when you're ready to rejoin.
Sound good, man.
Cool. All right, mate. Bye. All right, guys. So Mick's going to rejoin in 5 minutes. This is very, very impromptu, as you can tell. I've not promoted this at all. I made the thumbnail in about 30 seconds before the call, and I just had this sudden thought, like, I want to do something for Cacace Wood this weekend, but I've not taken the it's been so busy with all these big fights we've had. I've not taken the time to sit down and actually study it. So I thought, I was DMing with Mick the other day because we were talking about something else, and I thought, you know what, Mick's the perfect person to preview this fight with. So yeah, we just got him to jump on. But if you've got any questions for him, get them in the chat, and if we get time, I will ask them. And yeah, I know we only got about 30 people in here, so it's extremely impromptu, and not something I was planning on doing. But yeah, I just thought, why not? Why not? But yeah, I mean, we can talk while we're waiting. Who we got? We got Ross Taylor in the chat. Big up, Ross Taylor. How are you, mate? I should probably put the Firearm logo on the screen, although it's a bit late for that, but whatever. And where's my YouTube chat? It's there. Alex Samsonov says, how do you know Conlan, mate? Wait, is this working? It's not working. Why does it always... Maybe I've got to move it up. There we go. I don't know Conlan. So Back in the day, I used to do a lot of filming with fighters. I was a videographer doing promo videos, and I started doing my own creative interviews on this channel. This was when I first started a guy called Henry. This was like 2018, and I didn't do anything with it for like 5 years. But I was always planning on doing something with Mick. We spoke a few times, and we were going to do some stuff together, and then it just never happened with COVID and whatnot, me moving away. So yeah. So I don't know Mick personally, but we've followed each other on Instagram for a while, and we were chatting about some other stuff the other day. So just occurred to me, why not get him on? Absimus Maximus says, good listen. It is a good listen when he's here. He'll be back in a minute, though, people. He will not be too long. He said he's changing cars, which sounds a bit dodgy. It sounds like he's on the run, doesn't it? Like in an episode of Hunted or something. But yeah. Who else we got kicking about in the chat? We've got Ross Taylor, who's in. 202 Ultra's in. 202 says late to this, but it's great you got a former opponent of Wood on. Exactly. And someone who knows Cacace for a really long time as well. There's no better man to preview this than Mick Conlan. 202 Ultra says, will you be doing an analysis later on the fight? I don't know, mate. I don't think I'm going to live stream it because I've been doing a lot. And it'd be nice to have a weekend not doing it. But at the same, I mean, to be honest with you, I'll do whatever's worth doing. And I think I'm not sure it's worth doing. I'm not sure it's going to do very good numbers. So I don't think it will. I think there's other ways I can use my time at the minute that would be more beneficial. To be honest with you, as much as I'll watch it, I might do some kind of reaction video potentially. Ross Taylor says, what's the Australian fight scene like? I mean, I'm training in a gym out here, and I mean, the standards like just, normal, nothing exceptional. But it's not as like underdeveloped as people think it is. What I will say is that there's loads of fans out here. Like people absolutely love it out here. So yeah. Blood Rush Entertainment says, I'm looking forward to Usyk versus Dubious Dubois 2 in July. It has potential to be fight card of the summer, especially if undercard is good as well. Very true. Very, very true. 202 Ultra says that's fair. Yeah, it's interesting. I've got no idea how many. Got no idea how many people are going to tune in for Cacace Wood. I've got no clue. I sort of forgot it was on, to be honest. I've got it in my calendar because I add all the fights to my calendar, but I just have no concept of how big of a fight it is. Where even is it? What venue is it in? Nottingham Arena. So, yeah, I don't know. I've got no idea. How old is Leight Wood now as well? Leight Wood he's 36 as well. So yeah, they're both getting on a bit. And Cacace's not really had too many hard fights, whereas Leight Wood has. So that's kind of the difference. Yeah, we'll get Mick back in the next couple of minutes, hopefully, and we can keep chatting. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just decided to go live. I was going to film something with Mick, but then he told me he was going to be in the car, so I just thought, let's just jump on the audio. It's much easier. And I'm not expecting this to do too many views. I just thought, why not? We can get Mick at a loose end and chuck it up. But yeah, I've got no idea how this will do because I don't think too many people are sort of expecting this one. So, I'm just going to check actually how it's appearing on the old YouTube. Oh yeah, it has been coming up live. There we go. Michael Conlan previews Cacace versus Wood live in the fight room. Sweet. Bit of a terrible thumbnail on this one, but time was of the essence, people. I'm sure you will understand. Ross Taylor says, please like the video, you awesome people. Indeed. I mean, there's not too many people in here. This is a very niche stream. This will probably go down in a guy called Henry Folklore as one of the most niche streams that we ever did. Because, as I say, I don't even know how big Cacace Wood is. I really don't. What do people think? How many people do you reckon are going to tune in for Cacace Wood? that super featherweight division is really interesting. Everyone's a bit older now. Sort of waiting for a young prospect to come through and sort of take the reins, isn't it? It's just, I'm going to talk to Mick when he comes back on about his ambitions, but the fact he's not won a world title is actually mental for his level of talent. But yeah, if anyone wants to ask Mick anything, do get your questions in because I can ask him. 202 Ultra says, what's your demo mostly made of? I'm in US where it's 6:50 a.m. right now. I don't imagine your posting times are tailored for us in the USA. No, to be honest, mate, it just depends what the video is about. I try to tailor it if it's an American fighter. But all right, Mick's coming back in. Let me get him in the call. Hello. Hello.
Hello, mate.
All right, we got you back. Yeah, Mick, why are you changing cars? That sounds really dodgy, by the way. Where's he gone? Might just need a minute to stabilize. Oh wait, I think you're dropping out quite badly. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh great, there we go. Yeah, I was just saying.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just saying it sounds like you're on the run or something, switching cars on the way to somewhere.
No, so my own car is in Sheffield, and then the guy who's my friend who owns the cars, he lent me a car at home, but he needed a car to go in to get MOT today, so he lent me a different car. Had to change it.
I see. Mick, I'm gonna ask you this question from one of the people in the chat before I ask my own. He says, "What was Mick's best performance in your opinion, Mick?"
Against TJ Dehaney.
I was gonna say to you that win has actually aged very, very well in my opinion.
It really has,
Yeah, TJ. I think TJ's I think he's a brilliant boxer.
TJ's very good, and like you seen, like his performances against Nue, I thought was very good. You know, I think most of his performances have all been very decent. So, you know, the fact that he's still challenging for world titles and stuff after I beat him, and then even against Nick Ball, I thought he boxed very well.
I was going to say he was good. I think he just lacks a little bit of extra athleticism, but like just in terms of like pure boxing brain, he's really good, like genuinely really good.
Yeah, listen, 100%. And let's be honest, he was the older man there, and towards the end you could see that. You know, you could see that. You could see the young freshness of Nick Ball compared to the old man of TJ kind of took over. And let's be honest, he's a natural 122 fighter. I fought him at 124, although it was for a WWE interim featherweight title. That fight was done at 124 because I was moving to 122, and then the 126 interim title was offered, and I says 100%, I'll take that.
Yeah, nice. I'll ask you this one quickly as well. But they've put laughing faces, so I think they're being a bit cheeky. But you said, who is the greatest Irish fighter of all time, and why is it Katie Taylor?
Yeah, 100%. Because she is so good. I agree. Listen, Katie Taylor is someone who I've looked up to my whole life. I've shared amateur teams with her, been away to Olympic Games with her, 2 Olympic Games with her. She's the closest woman I've met to a saint, and that's not a lie. She has this aura around her. She's so dedicated to the game, gives her life to the game and God, and like she's special. And like when you watch Katie Taylor, like people go like women's boxing this, women's boxing that. When you watch Katie Taylor, you're just watching boxing. You're not watching anything. She's so exciting. She throws too many punches. I've sparred her many a times, and when I was a flyweight in the amateurs, I was sparring her, and it was tough competitive spars. When I moved up, it probably was I was a bit bigger and easier for myself. But like she's probably the fastest hands I've been in the ring with. Her hands are so fast, it's crazy.
Yeah, she is rapid. She is absolutely rapid. Probably starting to slow down a bit now, but I mean, who wouldn't? She's had some fair wars at this point in her career. So yeah, and obviously she's got that Serrano rematch coming up. What is it? The third one? So yeah, that's a great trilogy.
The rubber match. Yeah.
Unbelievable. So Mick, I want to ask you. I was listening to your interview on the Whiskey and White podcast, which is obviously hosted by two of the stalwarts of the Northern Irish boxing scene, in Tara McKenna and Tommy McCarthy. But I wanted to ask you about your sort of training setup, because I know you're now with Grant Smith, but I wanted to ask you about your journey with that, because I know you started off with Manny Robles in America, and then you came back to the UK and you were then with Adam Booth, and I heard you saying that you felt like Adam Booth would be perfect for your style, and I wondered what it was about Adam Booth when you initially went to him that made you feel that way.
You broke up there when you said Adam Booth would.
Yeah, I was just wondering what it was about Adam Booth that you felt would suit your style so much, because I heard you saying that you felt like he was the guy for you when you went and joined him, basically.
Yeah, listen, I think with Manny, you know, I went there and I learned an awful lot. You know, that Mexican style of boxing, that aggressiveness. But as an amateur and throughout my career, I've always been a boxer, not a fighter. And Adam Booth, I loved watching his fighters growing up and how that laid back, sit back stay, the low left hand. I always naturally had a kind of low left hand anyway. If you watch my amateur fights and stuff, although I changed an awful lot throughout those fights, I always kept my left hand low, and I knew that Adam's style would kind of be suited for my style in a sense. In other ways, probably not so much, because a lot of Adam's guys are big punchers. I was never a big puncher. I can punch hard, yes, but I'm not one of them one punch knockout guys. I can get people down, I can take people out, but you know, it's accumulative. So you know, I like the style. I think it suited me, and we had a good relationship, and you know, it worked really well, and it worked really well until it didn't, and then you know, obviously I moved on, but I'm still friends with Adam, and we're good.
Yeah, and so now you're with Grant Smith. What was the thinking there? What was it about Grant, the setup there, that made you want to go and take him on as your sort of trainer? I'm guessing this is your trainer like till the end now, ideally.
Yeah, definitely. It's the trainer to the end, because you know, I've always said it's like one more loss of a record, and that's me. I'm done. I don't want to do no more, because listen, I've earned an awful lot of money in boxing, and I've done really well in boxing. I've achieved an awful lot of things. I've main evented at MSG. I've fought in Vegas. I've fought in Australia. I've fought everywhere, and you know, I had some really good names.
Oh, hopefully we can get
main
Mick back.
in my home park where I grew up in. So really neat. Get me back?
Oh, are you back now, mate? Sorry, yeah, you dropped there for a second.
Yeah, I'm back. But as I said, like, you know, I've done an awful lot in the game, so I don't, and I've made good money. So it's not like I need boxing. It's not like I'm boxing for money. I'm boxing to become world champion, because that's my goal. That's always been my goal. That's the reason I'm still boxing. So this is the last roll of the dice for me, and with Grant Smith, I believe he's the right man. You know, I tried out 3 coaches in Buddy McGirt, Stephen Smith, and Grant Smith, and you know, Grant I felt was most suited. Also, the gym format and who was in the gym also played a part in that, because you know, I like to be around other fighters, push myself. Because when I was at Pedro Diaz, I was basically, Pedro's an unbelievable coach, but I was basically training by myself, and I like to have other fighters. I like other fighters in the gym, so I can push myself even harder. You know what I mean? I'm always in competition. I'm always trying to do better than the next guy, someone in front of me who's ahead of me, and that's why I like to come to that gym. And you know, I as a fighter, every fighter makes mistakes, but I know I make mistakes, and I'm open and honest about it, especially with the coaches. So I wanted a coach who was going to pull me up on my mistakes, and Grant done that. And the mistakes which I know I make and I get away with, he was the one pulling me up on the most, and that's why I decided to go with Grant. And also, he's a great man. He's a great man who's stayed to the ring as a human being, his morals, his respect and everything. He's a very good guy.
Yeah, I've always liked Grant when I've spent time around him. He's always been decent to me when I've been in that gym. It's been a while now, but yeah, I always got a good feeling in that gym. When you chose Grant, did you have a conversation about the way that you box? Were there specific things that you said, look, Grant, like, this isn't working for me, I want to change this, I feel like this isn't working for me anymore or serving me that well in the ring anymore? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, listen, I told him the mistakes I know I make. and I get away with, and he told me the mistakes to make and I get away with, and we were both on the same page. And
that's
I
good.
says, Grant, Grant, I don't want you to change me as a fighter. He says, Mick, I'm not changing you as a fighter. I'm not trying to change you as a fighter. All I'm doing is adding to you as a fighter and tweaking little mistakes which you do make. And I says, okay, that's perfect. And I think even in the first fight, you've seen, you know, a better defense, better guard, everything like that. And you know, it was even I felt that I was going, fuck, the shit I have been practicing has been working here, so I like this. It's the right place.
Yeah, and I wondered with that Asif Khan fight if there was an element of, yes, you'd been out for ages, but also I wondered how much new stuff you were trying to implement in there at the same time, because obviously that's a lot. You know, getting the ring rust off, thinking about the tweaks, like that must contribute to what happens in the ring.
100%. Like everything you gotta. Boxing's a crazy game. There's so much intangibles in boxing which happen, and then you know the things in the ring, especially coming off losses. You know whether or not you're going to actually try these things. But one thing about me, I've always been someone who tries to implement whatever it is, tries something new all the time, if I need to. And you know, I think in that fight you've seen how much more complete of a fighter I was in Orthodox, how much more time I probably spent in Orthodox in this fight, and you know, it felt good. You know, it felt good.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about your switching, because Barry Jones made an interesting comment in commentary during one of your fights, and he sort of said that like switching's great because it throws off the rhythm of your opposition, but he said the problem is it can also throw off your own rhythm in a fight. Do you feel like that's a fair comment?
It is, but to be honest with myself, I feel I switch when I feel I need to, and
right.
You know, I don't think it throws off my rhythm. It possibly could at times, but you know, I think I'm just as good in southpaw, if not better in southpaw than I am in orthodox. And I need to kind of, I'm a natural orthodox, but if you watch probably 99% of my pro fights, I'm more southpaw. So,
yeah,
you know, I'm more comfortable in southpaw, but you know, I need to kind of level it out again where I'm just as comfortable in orthodox.
Yeah, Mick, I want to ask you a specific question about your style as well, and it's kind of going back to the Adam Booth conversation slightly, which is like, obviously I know that you have that kind of stance, that posture where you load your legs a lot, and I wanted to ask you about that because I feel like it must be really tiring constantly having your legs loaded like that. And I know you don't do it all the time, but you know what I mean? Like your basic posture, your legs are pretty loaded, which means you can always throw with a good amount of power. And it's obviously like that classic Adam Booth style, like you say, the low lead hand, like George Groves had it, David Hay had it. And I was thinking about Josh Kelly as well, because I know he was someone that used to gas out quite a lot. And again, he was with Adam Booth. He had that kind of loaded style. Everything was very explosive. I just wondered what you thought about that, because it's just something I've sort of noticed watching boxing, that it seems like that extra athletic style where you really, you're really loaded all the time. You must need outrageous cardio to be able to do that, Nick, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you do. It's tough, and your legs do feel it. And listen, you can see it in some of my fights where I tire, and people are going, "But sure, he hasn't done much." But when you're in that position and you're loaded that way, it probably does unknowingly, when you're in the ring, take a toll on you.
Yeah.
It is. Listen, I do have outrageous cardio. I'll be honest. I'm a fit guy. I can run a marathon in 2 hours 55 minutes. It's something I've always done is make sure I'm very fit. And if you ask anybody who trains me, they'll always say I'm probably one of the hardest trainers to train with. So that state. Yeah.
Lost you for a second there, Mick.
Yeah, as I was saying, like, it is, you have to be a fit person to be doing that style, and if you're not fit, it'll show it.
Yeah. I was just wondering if, under Grant, if you were going to be mixing it up a little sometimes, like maybe a little more lateral movement on the toes a little bit more from time to time. Is that something you're considering doing?
Yeah, 100%. That's not like Grant's style. I've always liked this style. How all the fighters in the gym fight, it's kind of similar. It's like his own kind of style. And I'm a fan of it. I've been a fan of it. It's all about attacking and counter-attacking and defense. Defense is probably the biggest key in the whole thing, and making sure you're not taking any shots. That's something I probably need to be doing a lot more, is taking less shots. So yeah, it's very good.
I love that. Plans for the future: get punch less. That's good.
Yeah.
So, Mick, looking ahead, I'm guessing the world title must be the thing that you really want, because I think you must be, especially in and around the weight classes that you've been in, you must be the best guy by an absolute mile that hasn't won a world title in and amongst those weight classes.
Yeah. And I've always said, if I didn't win a world title as a professional, I feel I've kind of failed in my career. I do believe I have that ability to be a world champion, and if I didn't achieve that, I'd be very disappointed with my professional career. But at the same time, I've done an awful lot, but I don't want to settle for what I've done. I want to go there and win a world title. Like, that's the only reason I'm still boxing. As it says, it's a tough sport. Would I let my kids box? No, I wouldn't. I don't want my kids to fight. It's too hard of a game. It's too hard of a sport to let my kids do, because listen, I've done it. I was from where I'm from was quite ghetto and very, very tough, and I've given my kids a life which I never had. Like, I was proper working class, where my kids are not grown up that way. They're not working class kids, and they're not from like the top streets of West Belfast. So I don't want them to follow the same path as me.
Yeah, you haven't got little Eubanks and Bens running around, I'm guessing.
No, definitely not. I don't want them. I don't want them in it. Did I cut off there? Did I?
Yeah, you did, but I caught you at the end there. Basically, your kids didn't have the same upbringing as you.
Yeah, they didn't have the same upbringing as me. I don't want them, and I'm giving them as better opportunities in life rather than the opportunities that I had. And listen, boxing changed my life and saved my life in a sense. So my kids will not have to have that kind of struggle.
Yeah.
Although, listen, I'll let them go to the gym, and I'll let them train and stuff like that. And if they ever really did want to do it, I would have to back them 100%. But it's not.
Well, this is the thing,
it's not
isn't
a
it?
path. It's not a path I really want them to go down.
Very fair. So, Mick, putting your, obviously, Conlan Promotions is flying. Putting your promotional hat on, your sort of tactical management hat on, how do you plot yourself a route to a world title? Like, what do you see as being the optimal route to one when you look at the scene right now?
Well, if you look at my next fight, which is for the European title against Cristobal Lorente, I win that. Then I'm ranked top 10 in all governing bodies, very high, especially with the name at which I have. I'll be ranked high enough, and I could have a world title shot to fight after, or I could have a Josh Warrington fight first and then a world title shot. I'd love to challenge Stephen Fulton for the WBC title. Maybe in New York, maybe Paddy's Day weekend.
Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine, Mick? Bring it back to where it all started. That'd be incredible.
Bring it back to where it started. Win a world title where I began my career, and that would be the icing on the cake. That would be the dream of this story, and the route which I plan to take this story is that route, and it's something that I'd love to happen.
That'd be amazing. So, are you going to be at super feather then, Mick? Is that the plan?
No, I'm a featherweight, mate. I'm a featherweight, still natural featherweight. Like my last fight against Cam was at 128 because it wasn't for any belt, so there was no point of having to cut the extra bit of weight. And then the Gill fight, the only reason that was super featherweight is because apparently he was moving up to super featherweight, and they asked what I did, and I had eight weeks training. 8 weeks from the fight was announced, 6 weeks of actual training. So like super featherweight suits me because it saves me having to cut that extra bit of weight, because no matter what anybody says, I make featherweight relatively well, but at the same time, it's still hard. Like, make it anyway. Making super featherweight would probably be hard. Like, making weight in general is always going to be hard.
Yeah.
So it never gets easier. So I was like, okay, let's cut that extra £4 out and have the fight at 130. It's no problem.
Yeah, nice. So ideally, we get that world title, and then if Cacace can get this Wood win, then you round it off with a massive fight in Belfast against Anthony. Oh, I think I lost him again.
Me?
I can now, mate. Did you hear what? Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, as I said, yeah, I heard you, but I'm not here to call Ando out. I really hope he wins, and me and him fighting in Belfast, yes, it would be amazing, especially if he had a world title and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even the IBO, a huge fight for the city, a huge fight for the country. I would welcome it, but I wish him all the best. I really hope he goes in and does the job.
Awesome, mate. Well, look, thank you so much for doing this, Mick. I know it's been a little bit messy and last minute, so hopefully we'll do something in the future that's a bit more proper. By the way, before you go, I have to remember that to say this to you. You remember I was going to do one of those 3 gifts interviews of you, and I was trying to. I had notes somewhere. Yeah. I couldn't find them, but I remember the one thing I'd written down was that you're absolutely obsessed with Christmas. I wanted to just ask you about that before you go.
Yeah. Probably not so much now, but for the last
really?
load of years, this year maybe not so much. This year not so much because you know what, I've only moved into my new house. In the last 2 years before that, I've been renting because I sold my first house, had a big house up in the mountain, but it fell through, so I ended up renting for 2 years. But and that kind of killed the Christmas for me because I didn't want to do so much. But when the guys who done all the moving for my house, they call me Santa Claus because they says, how does this guy 90% of this guy's storage is Christmas stuff. Like, I have so much Christmas shit, it's unbelievable. And obviously when you have kids, it makes it so much better.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say you've been facilitated in your love of Christmas for the rest of your life by having kids.
I know, it's brilliant.
That's absolutely hilarious, mate. Well, look, mate, thanks for doing this again. As I say, we'll talk again soon, hopefully. But yeah, thanks for jumping on with me, mate. Appreciate it.
You man, I'll speak to you soon.
Take care of yourself, mate. Safe drive.
Bye, man. Bye.
All right, everyone. So that was Mick Conlan. We obviously had a little bit of a dodgy line there, but I hope you all enjoyed listening to him. And yeah, if you want to listen to what he has to say, he's pretty clear that Cacace is the guy. He is the guy to bet on this weekend if you want to pick someone for that fight. So yeah. Let's just. I'll read a couple comments before I go. I need to get off in like 5 minutes, but. Oh, sorry, Miles Carey. I only just saw your comment. Awesome start to the morning here in Canada. Please give a big ups to Michael this morning. One of my faves, all heart, guts, and determination. I'm sure he will see your comment. I hope he'll see your comment. Wonky S says, don't forget how good Bivol Beterbiev was and how good it would have been without the pullouts. My. Yeah, very good. Ross Taylor says, great guy, very likable. He is. Super likable. I think he's one of the things I like about Mick is he's very realistic, I think. And I think he knows that. And I think he knows that because of who he is, he's going to get the chance to win a world title again. But he also knows there's a chance he could lose again. And if he does, it'll be over. So, but yeah, I hope he wins one because to have been in the mix he's been in with the names he's been in there with and to not have got one, yeah, it's just really unlucky, I think. And you know, every time you go into those fights that are 50-50, it's 50-50 for a reason. You don't know who's going to win. And he's never quite come out on the right side of it. So, yeah, you hope for him that he can get one before it's all said and done. But yeah, guys, I'm not going to stick around because I think there's not too many people in here. But hopefully this video will sit and people can listen to it in the build up to the fight. So appreciate you jumping on, those of you that did. And yeah, we'll have more videos coming out soon. I'm not sure what I'm doing the rest of this week, actually. I think I'm going to start working on a Kell Brook career review video, which should be good fun. Because I think I want to start doing those when things get a little bit quieter, when there's not really big fights on. I've got a lot of short content I'm going to put out. I think on the days when I'm not making a long video, my aim is to put at least a short out. So I put a couple out today because I was like, the fights are gone now. So before it's too late, I wanted to put a couple of videos out. But yeah, other than that, like the schedule's not looking too crazy for the next couple of months. I mean, what have we got? Cacace Wood this weekend. Fisher Allen next weekend, I will definitely live stream for. As you all know, I'm a massive Dave Allen fan. Taylor Esserman's that night as well. So that's a bit annoying. I wish they were on different nights, but I'm also a big Josh Taylor fan, in terms of his style anyway. And then what else have we got? I've not got it all on my calendar, but unfortunately, when you look at the schedule, I think the next biggest thing coming up is probably bloody Jake Paul against Chavez Jr. So, bit depressing. Yeah, 202 Ultra. Kel should never have faced Triple G. Career was never the same. That's exactly it. So, yeah, the other thing is, guys, for those of you that are in here, someone suggested that when I hit 10K, I might want to do a 10K live stream. So, don't know what any of you think about that. I'm happy to do it if people want it, but I just don't know like how much interest there'll be for that. So I'll do it if that's what people want, but yeah, I'm not particularly fussed about doing it if no one else wants it, but I'll do it if people want it. I feel like it'll be nice to hit 10K. It'll feel like a moment, but I also feel like I don't think the number of subscribers I have is something I want to focus on too much. I just want to focus on just keep making good videos. That's what I really just want to keep doing. So I'm not going to get to 10K and be like, oh, it's completed now. It's more like, we'll acknowledge it. Well done, we got to 10K, but let's keep pushing. Ross Taylor wants it though, so maybe we will. Maybe we will. As I say, if I think it'll get enough attention, I'll do it. So yeah. 202 Ultra, you're asking your most biased fans if you should do a live stream. That is a good point. You are part of the hardcore 12 that were around for the Michael Conlan Cacace Wood preview, which was the most impromptu thing ever, as I say. But yeah, all right. I think I'm going to hop off. But appreciate you guys. Cheers for jumping on with me. And yeah, I want to tell you what the next video is going to be, but at this moment in time, I'm not actually sure. I was thinking about doing one on the current state of American boxing, like a sort of deep dive. Look at all the different elements. Why is it not great? Because it's not great right now, is it? Let's be realistic. The fact that Mike Tyson's still such a big name, you know, he would have been the American fighter involved in the biggest fight this year. So it's kind of depressing. So I've been thinking about doing something about that, but again, it's a video that I don't know how it'll perform, and I need to really. It's not that I don't want to make all these videos, guys. It's just that I have such limited time at the moment to try and get my business going and to do this YouTube channel that I have to be really careful with prioritizing stuff. So I don't want to spend time making a video that's going to flop if I can avoid it. But anyway, I'm going to get off. But cheers, everyone. I'll catch you all later.